name's Alistair McLean. Welcome to the Sacred Rainbow Warrior channel. Today I am doing a follow-up video to what is the spiritual walk-in and the innate, the smart body, on how to integrate walk-ins, and I'll be giving some top tips on how to do the integrations. So we're going to be talking about cellular memory versus soul identity, the old soul's life, which can be linked to the Akashic. Can a walk-in be reversed? How do you integrate that? Integrational challenges, and is there such a thing as a walkout? So let's dive in. Number one, cellular memory versus soul identity. So how do you reconcile the coming in of the walk-in to the cellular memory within the body? So how do you reconcile the physical past with the spiritual present? And I spoke about this in the previous video that links to this, of what is a walk-in. You really need to watch that first to understand this video, because what we're talking here about is the DNA. And I mentioned in there about how junk DNA is the innate. It's not junk. That 98% that they quote is essentially the latent unactivated DNA, and we activate that through the healing the cellular memory. So it's like ghost DNA, like spiritual DNA. And when you access it through acknowledgement and healing, you're removing that how do I say this? It's like an ego hijack. It's difficult to put into words. Okay, let me put it this way. Through the history of our heritage, our DNA has been severed multiple times. And in this lifetime, because of the prophecy, and I speak about that in the previous video, we're able to heal that. And my partner and I have been doing that in divine union. And the more you heal that, the more walk-ins you get, and the closer you get to full embodiment of your innate, full embodiment of your divinity and your sovereignty, your soul in here, like your higher self, your deeper self in this body together in wholeness. It's the healing of separation. It's really profound, and it's beyond sci-fi. It's incredible, and it all has to be felt through vibration, because it can't be understood through logic, because logic is like a control mechanism that tries to understand through study and knowing of something that is infinite. It tries to put something that is infinite into a box. It's impossible. But when you feel through the heart, you're accessing the oneness field, and you become creation. And so you can understand, feel and know anything, and turn that into integrated wisdom. And what this is all about, this video. How do you turn all of this into, how do you integrate this level of power and this spiritual experience into something tangible and reality, a psychedelic experience, for example, into a psychedelic reality? This is what this is about. This is what I have been doing. It's a long process, especially when you're going in the opposite direction to everyone else. I speak about that in the last video. So in order to live in the present, which is essentially the goal, you have to heal the past, right? So if you're feeling depressed, which is essentially the opposite of expression, your suppression, it's the suppression of your emotions, the suppression of grief, and the denial of toxic shame. And you cannot live in the present if you don't heal the past. And anxiety is linked to the future. And so your let me just say this: anything you believe your future to look like or to be is a complete fabrication, because it's untold. There are how do I say this? What they called singularities, where timelines meet. But what I'm trying to say here is your future is so much greater than your expectations. This is what's available. We're being sold a complete and utter lie and illusion, and that veil's going to fall soon. That's called the apocalypse, which in Latin means to lift the veil. And the veil is this enormous shame veil, this toxic shame veil, which has prevented us from understanding what we are, who we are, and why we're here. And if you feel anxiety, it's because you're living in the future. You're thinking, oh no, this might happen to me. I went through healing complex post-traumatic stress disorder autism, ADHD, bipolar, and all of that puts you either in the past or in the future. And so it's about getting your uh, bringing those two sides of yourself, whether it be, that direction or this direction, whatever, to meet in the middle. Because if you're feeling those extremes of past lower emotions or future anxiety, the closer you come into the center, you're healing separation, you're coming into wholeness. And then when you come into wholeness, you come into the present moment. And when you come into the present moment and you live in the present moment, you become, and this is one of the gene keys. If you've read The Gene Keys by Richard Rudd, you come into immortality. And immortality isn't about living forever. Immortality is about living outside of time. Living outside of time means you live through the cycles of life, death, and rebirth simultaneously in the moment over and over, which means you never live in the past or the future because there is no such thing as time, only a spiral of consciousness. And you can jump into that. You can time travel. I've done this multiple times. It's not like in the movies. It's not like in the movies, but we do it. We all do it. We're all time travelers. If you, for example, if you focus on an old memory and you're lying down in your bed and you're surrendered and you're relaxed, you can go back to that memory and feel it. That's a shallow example, just a shallow example of time travel. That's a form of it. But there are more, sci-fi like multi-dimensional incredible forms of time travel that are also available when we come into the innate and unlock the smart body, because our DNA opens up portals within us because essentially we are portals. We're portals of love. We can go through the divine gateway, through the chakras, and we can travel. And it's not through the mind, it's through the heart. I speak about this a lot in the walk-ins video. So I'm going to say this again. Anything you believe your future to look like or be like is a complete fabrication until you can accept the basic concept at a soul level of who you are and what you are. And this is what the journey of integration is about. It's about embodying your divinity, your divine sovereignty, which is your birthright. And that was stolen through us. And there's a lot of injustice that we have to take responsibility for, which feels like injustice against justice, but this is the justice. And I did a video on this about divine union. What is divine union? And I talk about justice. And I could do a whole video just on justice itself. But it's really profound when you understand the scales of justice, like Libra, and the balancing of the heart and the feather. I've had to go through this, embody this in my partner, and it's really difficult. It brings up a lot of rage, a lot of anger, and we're taught to suppress that. I'll give you an example of collective suppression that's happening at the moment. They're spraying our skies with pesticides. Why aren't we doing anything about it? Why aren't we angry about it? Why is there so much ignorance about it? Going online and whinging about it isn't anger. There's this anger that needs to come out, like this divine rage. And I don't know how it's going to happen, but I can see something's going to happen. I can feel it, like this revolution where people are just no longer going to stand for it. And I think it's going to happen when the veil comes down, which I think is hopefully going to happen soon. I know it's going to happen before 2028. I know there's a big event in 2027, but I also know there's a big event happening this year and next year. I'm not sure exactly when because the timelines keep changing. But I've been told by Spirit that it can happen any moment. But Spirit always doesn't really give timelines that are like accurate to human logic, let's say. So number two, do walk-ins remember the old soul's life? Well, of course, because it's a part of you that's coming back. It can also be a part of you that you've never experienced in a few lifetimes. But yeah, it comes with memory and it takes integration. I've received parts of myself from Egypt, Lemuria, and other civilizations that we didn't even know existed. And it is about being seeded here on Earth. It's not about stars. I spoke about this in the previous video about what star seed is for. These parts of ourselves that come in, these walk-ins, may feel extraterrestrial, and they are, but they're from here. We've been lied to about our history, but also they are parts of us from different parts of creation. And we're not just part of one universe. There's a multiverse out there in multi dimensions. You know, it's beyond logic, it's beyond the mind's human understanding. When you can receive the innate and unlock that divine intellect and the divine feeling, sensuality, you can really feel into the scope of love consciousness and understand it through the heart. And you know, one feeling that can happen in seconds can tell you a story that 1,000 books couldn't. You couldn't write in 1,000 books. That's why being in the heart is so important. You cannot do this level of work by thinking and reading books, and that's only part and parcel of it. It's like 0.1% of the journey. So just checking my notes. So parts of your journey or parts of you. Yeah, so I spoke about this in the previous one, right? Do your walk-ins remember the old soul's life? It's more than that. It's about the path to redemption. So it's when you're remembering yourself, it's not about past lives. It's about remembering the parts of yourself in this life, which are embodiments of past lives. So every reincarnation is like a watered down version of you healing the karmic wounds. I'm just using karmic wounds because it's easier to understand. Because karma to me is the responsibility of of poor choices, let's say, where something didn't go to plan. A betrayal or, you know, a war or a death or something, a choice that was made that wasn't based on love and it needed healing. And some of those choices we make are huge, have enormous consequences, and they come with us. And when we heal those, it makes space for the walk-in to come in. I speak about this in the previous video quite a lot. Um, and they are normally parts of your journey that you have given away or sold. And I got into more depth on this, and it's quite confronting to understand that we've done that. We've all done that as individuals, and we're very unaware of it because there's so much shame attached to it. But we're tricked into doing it. I'll give you a really basic example. If when you were a kid you wanted to watch a movie, but you knew it was had violence in it. By watching it, you were agreeing to that violence, and you allow that to come into your body. That's a good example of making a poor choice, and then you have to deal with that energy. I've had to deal with that, and it's very difficult to deal with the energy of violence because violence is silence. So it's a form of censorship. They use that. It's not just physical violence, it's emotional violence because when we watch it, it feels real, and it causes a not a severance, but like a suppression of the voice because they try to do that to our voice because it's the most powerful expression of who we are. The voice is the expression of who we are. It's like the sacred temple of our soul. It's so powerful. That's why blue is such a powerful color, the throat chakra. And they say that if you paint your house blue, you won't be able to be affected by the 5G that they're sending out. It's also a portal to ancestral lineage, connecting with your ancestors. Number three, can a walk-in experience be reversed? It's not a reversal. I'll talk more about this later. It's more to do with, well, they're different, aren't they? Can it be reversed? Yes, kind of, but what can I say? They're not always permanent because due to fear and non-integration. So these parts of you that come in are parts of you, but they feel like separate beings because we are multi-dimensional. We're made up of multiple parts. They have their own personality, so they can choose whether to stay or not. And if, for example, you had a walk-in, next day somebody punched you in the face, that's really traumatic, and that part of you probably won't be able to be integrated. I know it's an extreme example, but it could be a really small example. It might be that part of your integration was to meditate, and because you didn't meditate, you didn't take your integration seriously, and that part gently leaves. It doesn't mean it can't come back. It absolutely can. You just have to go through the integration. I've had I've had a same walk-in multiple times over because its power has been so difficult to integrate, the power of leadership, divine leadership. And it's very difficult to integrate because it comes with a physicality of movement which is difficult to explain, and it doesn't fit within the confines of programming of the society that we live in. So I've had to come deeper into purity to get to in order to embody it. So don't feel bad if you've had a walkout. It's not a walkout, but you know what I mean. That's I don't know how else to describe it because you're trying your best and that's all you can do. And just keep going, never give up, never give up. Number four, so this is my top 10 tips. How do I integrate after a walk-in experience? Okay, number one, this is so important and it's very challenging. It's easier for women because they're more used to this. They're more used to being in their heart and training their intuition. But number one is training your intuition. How to train your dragon of intuition, right? So one way I always say about training your intuition is to have, if you're unable to know what's your ego telling you to do, your mind or your intuition, you can write them down on a paper and just start to learn through experience what is leading you to joy and happiness and what is leading you to a negative experience. And intuition, again, doesn't come through the mind, it comes through feeling. And that's why it's so difficult. If you're used to not being in your body, you're used to being in your mind, it's very difficult to understand the intuition because, like I said, when you're working with spiritual essence, consciousness, and you receive a feeling, it can, in a few seconds, it can fill up hundreds of books, and that's what the intuition's like. And it's very difficult if you're used to, like, I would speak from my own experience. I used to like want to hear that voice from my higher self saying, "Do this today," but the ego gets in the way, and until you clear that, you have to work closely with the intuition. And the intuition, I always say this to my partner, it works with the energy of joy. And so the best way, another way to do this is to train your sensitivity to joy. So because joy can be mistaken as well, like a chocolate bar isn't good for you, and so it might bring up that, oh, I want a chocolate bar. That's a false joy. Like the true joy would be self-nurturing yourself with something homemade, right? And it's not about taking away all your joys, it's about finding that joy that is really good for you. Like celebrating won't be out and going having a pint or going out for a meal. It might be having a nice bath or reading that book that you wanted to do, just using some really grounded examples. But one way I found to train my intuition was to train my joy, to understand what my joy was if I had like two favorite television programs, right? Say I had gosh, the new Point Break movie or the old Point Break movie. I'm obviously going to go for the 1991 Patrick Swayze and Keanu Reeves version compared to the new shit one. I don't even know who's in it. Right? That's how I choose. That's my joy. Point Break. Keanu Reeves, Patrick Swayze, complete champions. That is a true film of brotherhood. Okay. So I'm going to move on now. Number two, acknowledgement and responsibility. So when you receive a walk-in, you have to start integrating your emotions and taking responsibility for your dark emotions and acknowledging them. This is catharsis. This is how we overcome problems of the mind and come into a higher divinity of fun and pleasure. Is by, and I do this with my partner, we sit opposite each other face to face, we hold space for each other. And we do acknowledgements of what we're feeling, what we're avoiding. And acknowledgement is a form of love. I've used this example before. I'm going to use it again because it makes me laugh, right? Acknowledgement is the purity and antidote to judgment. So imagine Jesus, right, back in the day, and he's walking along, and everyone's going, Jesus, 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 give us your autograph, mate. And he's like, if he's in judgment, he's like, oh no, I don't have time for you today. That's judgment, that's fear, that's the opposite of love. But if he goes up to him and goes, hello, what's your name? Thank you. Yes, thank you. Here's my autograph. That's acknowledgement. That person, Jesus acknowledged me. He gave me his autograph. Oh, wow. That's love. It's a small amount of love, but it's enough. By acknowledging those parts that are hidden within you, you can free them and overcome them. So there you go. That's brilliant. Number three, celebration. I just spoke about this. Celebration is integration. And I'll give you an example. My partner and I have really suffered to get where we are. And in order to go in the opposite direction, you have to cleanse money. And we've had to give up all of our money that we earned through the old system in the matrix, and it's taken us to the brink. And so, whenever time we get somebody make a donation or we work with someone and money comes in, we jump up and we celebrate, we hug each other and everything. And that's what I mean by celebration. Celebrate the good things in life. And it doesn't mean filling yourself with toxicities again. It means finding the true joy of life. Number four, turning up. Turning up is a spiritual gift. And I always work with spirit animal wisdom. If you listen to my podcast, it's a spiritual gift of the tiger. The tiger is about fruition of your dreams. If you watch Aladdin, where does he get the genie from? Inside the tiger. The tiger is where all your dreams can be made true. And in order to do that, you have to turn up for yourself. And it's very challenging. And it takes a lot of devotion and dedication and responsibility. But it is the only way. Number five. Sorry, now I'm going to stay on number four a bit longer. Turning up can look like going for that run that you don't want to do, doing those press ups that you don't want to do, taking the course in calisthenics you don't want to do, learning to draw. All those things that you put off because you're afraid to fail or succeed. That's turning up for yourself. Okay. Number five, goal setting. So in the notes to this video, I've got an integration download. And when you download it, there's a journal exercise in there for goal setting where you time yourself 3 minutes and you write down your goals. And I always say just remove any limitations, think really big, beyond any limitations of and expectations of what you can think, and create your goals. And it's really powerful. I did it and they started coming true. If you don't set your goals, you don't have to like, I mean, it is a good idea to have them up in front of you. I should probably do that actually. But I set them and then I just, I left them in my diary and I went back and checked them. I was like, oh, wow, yeah, these are coming true. It's a really powerful intention for your soul to say, this is what I truly desire from my heart. And one of my desires was to know my divine purpose. And that's really powerful to understand and feel that. Number six, I think, journaling. Journaling is really powerful. I talk about this higher self journaling. It's really powerful. You can practice. You can um, just write what comes out and then check it the next day. Does it feel like love? If it does, it's probably your higher self. If it reads like fear, it may be your ego. But sometimes, like I've done channelings of my earlier podcast videos. I did episodes called My Dark Persona, and sometimes my soul wanted to express that it's pain, and pain isn't necessarily can sound negative, but it's not. It's not necessarily fear. Expressing and understanding your pain just needs someone to hold your space, and that was for me was a purging process, and so journaling is a really powerful form of purging, and purging is how you get yourself out of purgatory and into life. So a really powerful form of integration for your walking. Number seven, yeah, creating your dreams. This is what it's all about, people. This is what it's all about. You watch my video on Easter, the true meaning of Easter, talk about the spirit animal of the rabbit. So it's all about making your dreams come true and avoiding distractions. In order to embody your innate and to embody your walk-ins, you have to make your dreams come true. And this is why it's so difficult. If you're a person that was born with it all, your greatest fear and your awakening will be losing it all. And it's the opposite for the other person. If you've never succeeded, Your awakening will be your success. So if you just keep going, it's going to happen no matter what. And if you lose everything, that's just you giving it all up, and there'll be success waiting for you on the other side. I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just saying that's how it works in different directions. So, um, number 8, reverence and altar magic. So another way to integrate is to create reverence. I have about 7 altars. Several of those are in my bedroom. My partner taught me how to do that, and it's a really powerful form of art and magic to help facilitate the energies and to help you when you're not aware of what's going on, to help you process integration and embodiment. So I work with a lot of Egyptian gods and goddesses. So I have statues like that. I have a lot of crystals and stones. I carve my own stones. I make my own candles. I bring stuff from nature, feathers, stones, leaves, stuff like that. Abalone shells, sorry. And that's a really powerful form of integration. Number 9, nature walks. So yeah, this is a big one. I try to go at least once or twice a week, and I sit in the garden as well, grounding, bare feet. I like to, if you watch my video on the Yggdrasil channeling, there's a video of me working out in the river. That was my intuition told me to do that. And I remember I left something in the car, and I ran to the car back to get it barefoot. It was so painful, and I got 90% of the way there and realized I left my keys in the trainers. To run all the way back. It was so painful. And I'm channeling this message about pain. I was PML, pissing myself laughing. Nature walks are powerful because of the you're in your own energy for one, but nature spirits work with you as well, and you're grounding, so you're releasing energy and you're receiving new energy. It's just really powerful, and it's about coming back to nature, your own true nature. And the more time you spend in nature, the more you start to feel yourself. So make it a regular thing, make it really long, and make it regular, and keep it up. Don't give it up. Number 10, the most powerful form of integration I can suggest to you is movement and exercise. I speak about this in previous video about what a walk-in is. Exercising demons, for example, is exercise. When you are pushing through your limitations and you feel that burn, you're burning that out of you, and you're making room for your innate walking. You're making room to feel comfortable in your body. It brings in serotonin, so it makes you feel more in your body, makes you feel more grounded, brings in lighter emotions, makes you feel more confident, look better, healthier, stronger, you name it. And it's not about attending one form of exercise like running. You have to work on the whole caboodle. I do calisthenics, running, walking, hiking. I do a lot of Chinese horse stance stuff, like static stuff, like planks and stuff like that. Um, Punch bag stuff, like boxing stuff. Just really mix it up. Weight training, stuff like that, to open your body up. And it's also helping you overcome your mental limitations about what you feel you're capable of or what you look like. It's really powerful. Okay, so that's my top 10 on there. Number 5, integration challenges. What are the challenges that are presented through integration? It is a huge challenge. I'm not going to lie. Integration is very difficult, and I offer coaching on this. It's invaluable. It's so profound integration. It's the bridge between the inner world and the outer world, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically. Mental health isn't mental at all. It's spiritual, and it all comes through soul health. So working with your nutrition is really important, and your sleep and rest. I do have a lot of rest during the afternoon. It's really important to rest and exercise, like I said. But to bring it alive, to really bring your walking alive, that part of yourself, these gifts, you must become the bridge between the inside and the outside. And the only way you could do that is through creation. And like I said, training your intuition. And creation is such a powerful form of process because it's a godlike process. You're creating life. You're creating something out of nothing. It's really the most profound form of integration you can do. You're creating your dreams. If, like me, you had difficulties creating art, or art, even the word art doesn't mean anything to you, it will mean something when you start integrating it, because art is the most profound animism and reason to be here, because it is shamanic and it teaches us why we're here, how we're here, teaches us prophetic visions of the future, teaches us about our gifts, teaches us so much. Yeah, it's just incredible. Like my podcast, I thought it was going to be about I just love talking about animal wisdom. And I thought I was just going to go, this animal does this and it does this, but it's turned into a story time. Well, not so much. It's actually the stories of my Akashic lives. That's what it's turned into. And it's just become really beyond my control, because I just have, and I have had difficulties with this, and I talk about that. Allowing that spirit animal to come through me, which is my ancestor, to write the story it wants to tell, and putting that out there through the vulnerability. So creation is the greatest challenge of your integration, but it's also the greatest reward. Let me think if there are any other integration challenges. Stagnation is really powerful. When you stop moving because of the lower emotions, that can be really difficult. It's really difficult. It's impossible to do it on your own. If you don't have anyone to reach out to, reach out to me in the comments or via email. My email's on YouTube, but also on my website. You can contact me, do free calls and everything as well. What other challenges are there? People, distraction, people interfering with your life. If somebody isn't supporting you, you have to do, there are emotional sacrifices that are needed for the journey. I had to leave my old life behind. I had to kill my old life, destroy my old life, which meant letting go of a lot of people that I loved but weren't, didn't have my best interests at heart, and not consciously. It's just part of the ascension process. We have to make these sacrifices sometimes so that we can come back stronger to the people that we love. And by doing so, we're also allowing them to find their own strength, not rescuing people. Okay, number 6, is there such thing as a walkout? Yeah, so I spoke about this briefly, right? Um, this is why integration is needed. If you're being too harsh to yourself, you're being hard on yourself, that can push a walkout out. If you're expressing ill behavior, that can reverse it. Fear, self-harm, and a really big one is moving too fast. Scrolling is a big one. Spending too much time away from creating your dreams, continuing with that dead-end job, continuing with that toxic relationship. All of these are going to create walkouts. But like I said, it's not a problem that you can always recreate that walk-in through integration or calling it back in again. You just have to understand and go through your own story of redemption. Wow, I really felt that. Go through your story of redemption, of reclaiming that. Oh, I hope you can feel that. I can feel it. That's really beautiful. Yeah. Um, Last one, number 7. Can someone help guide me through a walking process? Yes, I can. Contact me. But no, if you don't want to contact me, but you should, because I'm the best, is I worked with how do I say this, holistic psychotherapists. So in America that were working with plant medicine online, so it wasn't very good. But also in the build up to that, I worked face to face with psychotherapists before I moved past that to help identify the basics, identifying my emotions, and how to share my voice without fear of judgment, which is very important. I hope this video was of immense help to you and support, and I wish you all the best on your journey. And if you need any help or have any further questions, please reach out. Bye bye.